So what I really wanted to do is put together a video that explains how you can put a lot of nutrients into your diet in a really easy, effective, fast way. And that is to incorporate ingredients that you wouldn't normally eat a lot of into a smoothie. So here we go. Morning guys, I'm here about to make my morning smoothie and thought I'd share with you what I do. If you're like me, then we probably don't get enough greens in our day. And so I kind of started this a little while ago after watching a movie you're about to watch called Hungry for Change. And it really inspired me to put more greens, more fruits, more veggies into my diet. But there's lots of trial and error in this process. So there were definitely some times where I made something that didn't taste good and you had to kind of do one of these to drink it. But I've got it down now where I've got the ingredients that I like and the kind of the ratios that I like so that it still tastes good. All right, you guys, I'm gonna take you through the ingredients that I happen to have here on hand. Some of these things I restock specifically for my smoothies, and some things I just happen to have here in the house and can definitely be put into a smoothie to make them a little better. Couple things that I definitely keep on hand all the time for my smoothie. I use some of this green juice, and there's different brands out there. But this is just something that makes it a little bit sweeter, but still gives you some of those green ingredients. Definitely has a high sugar content, so I don't put a ton of this in there, but it does make it a little sweeter and a little bit easier to, more palatable, I guess. Frozen blueberries, keep those on hand all the time, and whenever they go on sale, I stock up and throw them in my freezer. Blueberries are just kind of nuggets of antioxidants. They're little power pellets really, and have so many good nutrients inside of them. So the blueberries are key. Bananas, always have those on hand. They are a key ingredient for me. These are overripe a little bit, but that's actually not a bad thing. You can throw them in a smoothie, you would never notice. And then some greens, some deep greens. So right now I happen to have baby spinach, but there are some different mixes and different things you can get at the grocery store. This is a bigger package, and if you don't go through them quickly, they'll start to turn and kind of get start to break down. So maybe buy a smaller package if you like, if you don't go through them as quickly. But this is kind of the foundation of my smoothie. I put a big heaping handful and honestly fill this thing probably 3/4 of the way with the deep greens, because they break down and it becomes a much smaller volume once it's blended. I keep yogurt on hand, and personally, I like the sweetened flavored yogurt because I do have a sweet tooth, and some of the experimental versions of my smoothie end up being a little bitter. So I use a little bit of sweetened kind of flavored yogurt. This is Greek yogurt, so it's high in protein. And then I throw a little bit of this plain yogurt that is low in fat, but really high in protein. So this has 18 grams of protein. Low sugars, and so I kind of balance the two out so that I get the high protein content without a ton of sugar, because you're already getting sugar from the other sources, including the blueberries and then this green juice. You don't need to add any sugar to this. You're gonna find that perfect kind of balance where it tastes good, doesn't look green because you've got blueberries that are gonna make it a kind of a deep purple color, and then, so on. I have this. I throw some almonds in there when I have them. Good source of protein, flax seeds. And this is really kind of something that helps with digestion. They are also kind of nutrient packed. And then chia seeds, which you can pick up at Costco or really any store, grocery store. So the chia seeds, they are a digestive aid, I guess. They bind to things in your digestive tract that you don't want and kind of take them with them. They also become gelatinous, meaning it will really thicken your smoothie if you add too many of these or too much of the chia seeds. So I also happen to have a couple pears on hand today. I don't normally have pears in our house. That's not something that I stock frequently, but because I have a couple pears here that are getting to the point where they're pretty ripe, I'm gonna throw one of those in the smoothie today as well, just to show that you can add some ingredients that maybe you have on hand that you don't necessarily always have. So maybe you have some fruit, apple slices are good. I've thrown pear, maybe even things like fresh berries or seasonal fruit that you are able to get fresh Oregon strawberries, for example. Today, it's gonna be a little bit of pear, and we'll cut that out here in a second. I wanna talk about what I chose for kind of my machine of choice here. Let me get this out of the way. So, a little background info. I once upon a time thought about buying like one of those Vitamix blenders from Costco. They're very expensive, and so my investment up front, I didn't want to go that route. So I purchased this NutriBullet for about $75, something like that, and it has been a beast. I've used it now for about maybe 4 years, I want to say, and at some point I had to buy new plastic containers because these little tabs right here had worn off on the one that I had originally purchased with the machine. So I got on Amazon and got these taller version of these, and these go onto the blades like so. So you actually make your smoothie inside of this container, and then the lid goes onto it like so and screws down, and then it actually flips over. So you'll see that when we make the smoothie, but once it's on there tight, it flips over and everything gets brought down by gravity down into the machine and the blades spin. This is actually a really good, obviously you tighten it down more than that. But this machine I've been really happy with simply because the blades rotate so fast that it chops up things like almonds and these seeds, and any fruit or vegetables that you throw in there really do become a smoothie. Multiple blades in there, it just chops everything up really, really finely, becomes a drink versus a chunky kind of slop, which would happen in a blender. So I really highly recommend some sort of high velocity blender if you're going to start doing smoothies. So here we are, we're going to put our ingredients into this container and go ahead and make the smoothie. I've got my helper Amara here, my daughter, and she's going to help me make sure that we do things just right. So we're gonna start with our greens. We're gonna get probably about this full with greens, and then it'll get packed down with kind of some of the other ingredients. So I usually put this in first. All right, go for it.
That much?
Yeah, that's probably good. Stuff it down in there. This seems like a lot, and quite honestly, for those who don't like eating a lot of greens, you'd probably be shocked by how much this gets concealed in there. You're not gonna notice this at the end of the smoothie. So don't be shy. Spinach doesn't have a strong flavor. Things like broccoli might, but the spinach, the baby spinach, it seems like this would be disgusting. I'll be honest with you at the end, but it will have a good flavor. The next thing I usually do is I put in my fruit next. So we're gonna put in, Amar's gonna peel this banana and put the banana in there, and I'm gonna grab the blueberries. So I get frozen blueberries. These are from Costco, so Kirkland brand. But you can get these at any grocery store. And honestly, during the summer here in Oregon, picking blueberries is a great way to save money. You can pick huge buckets of blueberries during the summer for a really inexpensive price, and then freeze those in the freezer. So one thing you'll notice about my smoothie making is that I don't really do specific amounts of things. It's been a trial and error process. So I usually use one full banana. I use greens kind of as a foundation, and then I pour some blueberries in. I use quite a few blueberries. This is probably a good amount. It's gonna be plenty. And you'll notice that it doesn't drain your bag of blueberries. So you're gonna use a bag of blueberries for multiple days, if not a couple weeks. It's really just a little bit in there, goes a long way. So we're gonna see if we can fit all the ingredients in here, because I did throw more blueberries than expected. I put some kind of, this is strawberry yogurt. Gonna throw some of that in there, just maybe 2 spoonfuls. It gives you your protein, adds a little flavor, kind of makes it a little bit more robust in terms of keeping you full for a longer period of time. Flaxseed next. Okay, you'll see that I just kind of pour it in. I don't pack this thing with flax seeds, but I would say that's probably a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. Same thing with chia seeds. Pour some of those in there. You want to be a little more sparing with the chia seeds because it'll make the smoothie really thick, and probably thicker than you'd want. It's amazing how much those make a difference. A few almonds, not a lot. Okay, but this is gonna add a little almond flavor and again, give you a little bit of extra protein as well. Okay, pack those back down. We're gonna put a few slices of pear, push those in. We're gonna put a little bit, 1 spoonful of this yogurt, this unsweetened yogurt, probably a little more bitter than I would like on its own, but that's just because I like things with a little flavor, a little sweetness. Okay, so we didn't use a whole pear, but that'll be fine because Amara will like those pears afterwards, I'm sure. She's gonna pour in some of this Odwalla superfood green juice. We're not gonna put it in very far. We're just gonna fill it up. All right, there we go.
Okay.
So you'll notice that we only use really the top portion of the bottle, so we're not using an entire bottle of this. We're not using any more than maybe half a cup of this in a full smoothie. And by the way, this smoothie is gonna be enough for 2 to maybe 3 people, depending on how you divide it up. Usually I make a smoothie like this for my wife and I, and the 2 of us share it, and we get a big cup of it for each of us. All right, next up. Now the last thing I did was fill it up kind of probably higher than it's supposed to be honest with you. It probably shouldn't be this packed, but I filled it up with water as a remainder, so that's gonna be kind of the remaining liquid. You could do this all with this green juice if you like, but that would make it really sweet and probably more sugar than you really need. So I balance it probably 2/3 water and 1/3 of the green juice, and that seems to be a ratio that makes it kind of the way I like it. All right, we're gonna put this lid on here. Make sure it's tight and snug, okay? And then we put it onto the blender, and this whole mess is gonna look like a smoothie here in a second. You good? Okay, so here's our finished product. You can see all the blueberries blended up in there. It's kind of a deep purple color. It's going to open up, be able to be poured. This is very liquidy, not overly thick, so it's easy to drink, and everything is blended really finely in here. So this is not something that you're gonna come across parts of an almond or parts of blueberries or something like that. It's really finely chopped up. Really does become a smoothie that you could drink with a straw easily. There's no foreign, weird stuff in here. Everything is as it should be. And you'll notice that all those greens have disappeared. They've all blended in here nicely. And we're just gonna pour it up and give it a try. Go for it. All right, so here we go. Taste test. Let's see how it goes. It's actually really good. So, not bad. Tastes fruity. You can tell there's a bunch of nutrients going right to your body, and it's a great way to start your day.